Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, so today we're unpacking something that literally changes how we experience our absolute favorite stories. You know that feeling when a film pulls off an incredibly shocking moment that somehow still feels completely right? Well, it's not magic. It's actually a highly specific psychological storytelling tool. Today, we're diving into narrative advertising, which is the careful craft writers use to earn and, crucially, maintain our trust as an audience. Let's get right into it. So, I want you to think back to a time you were watching a movie or, reading a novel, and a huge plot twist dropped. Maybe a beloved character died suddenly, or the villain was unmasked. But instead of being on the edge of your seat, you just felt cheated. You probably threw your hands up and thought, wait, where on earth did that come from? That incredibly frustrating feeling of betrayal, that happens when a story delivers a consequence that arrives completely unearned. It's asking us to accept something we haven't been prepared for. And when that happens, we just reject it. The immersion breaks, and worse, our trust in the writer is totally broken. Which brings us to a really powerful way to frame this whole concept. Think of it like this. Advertising is the writer's contract with the audience. When a writer sits down to craft a script, they are essentially signing a silent, sacred agreement with us. They're basically promising, hey, I'm not going to pull things out of nowhere. To keep our trust, they have to show us the shape of what's coming, early and honestly. A consequence that just shows up without being advertised, that breaks the contract. It feels like a total cheat.
To really understand how writers build this trust, we're going to break this explainer down into 3 parts. O1, subtle versus brazen. O2, beyond the plot. And O3, earning the payoff.
So here's the core definition we're working with. Narrative advertising is the act of preparing the audience. It's basically a forewarning that something of real consequence is coming, or that a thematic point deserves your attention. It's the writer working quietly ahead of us, laying down the track before our train even gets there. In other words, it's the craft of making the unbelievable believable before we even know we need to believe it. They're ensuring that when that big moment finally hits, it feels totally inevitable. Okay, Section 1. 2 essential techniques. Subtle versus brazen. Let's look at how writers actually execute this contract. This duality is really the foundation of the whole craft. On one side, you have subtle advertising. This approach plants details without ever drawing your conscious attention to them. It's a background detail, a totally throwaway line of dialogue, or maybe an early character behavior that's actually going to matter a lot later. On the flip side, we have brazen advertising. This says plainly, pay attention to this. It's super overt, designed to create tension by flat-out telling you something is going to happen.
Let's zoom in on these brazen tactics for a second. Think about when a character explicitly warns that something's going to go horribly wrong, or a visual motif that's repeated over and over and over until you literally can't miss it, or a thematic line spoken right out loud. These overt tactics carry this heavy, looming tension. Sure, the writer risks feeling a bit heavy-handed, but when it's done right, the anticipation is incredible. You absolutely know something massive is coming, and the thrill is entirely in the waiting. Now contrast that heavy tension with the absolute joy of subtle advertising. With subtle techniques, we absorb all these clues without ever consciously registering them, and then the payoff arrives. And something in our brain just clicks. We totally didn't see it coming, but looking back we realize we absolutely should have. The clues were there the entire time. That rush, that feeling of a story that secretly knew exactly where it was going from minute 1 is honestly one of the greatest pleasures of a well-crafted screenplay. Moving right along to Section 2, beyond the plot, more than just foreshadowing, because this is so much more than just dropping hints. We've all heard the term foreshadowing, right? But foreshadowing usually refers specifically to the plot, like the literal mechanics of what's going to happen next. Advertising is a much broader, richer term. It includes thematic priming. It's about what a story means and what it's actively asking us to feel on a deeper level. A film can advertise its themes just as much as its plot points, and the truly brilliant scripts, they do both. They aren't just hinting at plot turns, they are actively advertising their emotional stakes right from the very first scene. Finally, Section 3. Earning the payoff, the inevitable consequence. This entire contract is about creating that ultimate sense of inevitability. And all of this shared purpose leads right here, the reversal. This is the ultimate storytelling reward. A reversal lands the absolute hardest when a story has successfully advertised its possibility without ever giving away its actual arrival. When a betrayal or a massive revelation hits, the writer wants our reaction to be a gasp, followed by, of course, rather than, no way, I don't believe this.
Even if we didn't guess the exact twist, we feel the inescapable logic of it. The story earned our trust, and because it honored that contract, it absolutely earned that massive payoff. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. The next time you are genuinely surprised by a story, take a step back and ask yourself, did they actually pull that out of nowhere? Or did you just miss the advertisement? Try looking for that sacred contract of trust the next time you watch or read something. It will completely change the way you appreciate the craft. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. I hope it helps you spot the invisible magic writers use to keep us all hooked.